Good to have you join me on the show again. This is Business Breakfast on iBrand Television. And let's get talking now as we dive straight into our conversation segment of the program. The International Monetary Fund, that's the IMF, has downgraded its forecast for Nigeria's 2024 economic growth to 3%. This represents 1 percentage point below the growth forecast of 3.1% made in October 2023. The IMF, in its recently released World Economic Outlook update, blamed the country's slow growth on weaker oil and gas production, with negative effect of high inflation on consumption taking hold. The Brentwood Institution also downgraded the forecast for Sub-Saharan Africa 2023 economic growth to 3.2% from 3.4% forecast in October last year. In contrast, the IMF upgraded its forecast for global economic 2024 growth forecast to 3.1% from 2.9% earlier forecast in October last year. Joining me now live virtually to discuss more on these and other macroeconomic issues is the head fixed income and FX at Chapehim Denham, Oladipo Ajayi. Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure having you join me on the program. Mr. Ajayi, can you hear me? We seem to have lost connection with Mr. Ajayi. We'll take a break now, and when we return, we'll try to reconnect. To stay with us, it's Business Breakfast on iBrand Television. Have you joined me again on the program? Oladipo Ajayi, head of FX at Chapehim Den, still with just join me now again on the program. Good morning, sir. It's a pleasure having you join me on the program.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much.
It's the first we're having this year. I hope it's still safe to say Happy New Year.
Yeah, of course. You won't be out of place to say that.
All right, then. Let's dive straight into the conversation. I believe you've seen the report by the IMF downgrading Nigeria's economic forecast. What would you, in your opinion, say is responsible for this?
Well, generally, if you look at the current architecture of the country, there are many things that could have actually lead to such decisions. When you look at what is happening in the FX space, the volatility, how this would impact manufacturers, of course, you won't be out of place for you to think we check your model again if the expected growth that you had stated at the beginning of the year will still be the same. And also, when you look at the current level of insecurity in the economy, you look at the fact that there was a report that was just released that business activity has dropped by about 33% in Abuja. And so all these things added together are some of the reasons why you would think IMF actually told that line. So I don't think it's totally out of place.
All right. If we look at the projection that has been made this year, I think earlier this year there were a lot of projection in January precisely that Nigerian economy will experience some kind of rebound this year, and also the World Bank also made a projection also of a positive rebound. Now, going by those projections and with what the IMF is making out with its latest report, where is the Nigerian economy actually? What's the direction of the Nigerian economy for the year 2024?
Well, the report never says that Nigerian economy is not going to grow, but it's just they were actually a bit conservative in their initial expectations. And you and I will look at it, or let's look at it from this perspective. You look at where Naira was at the beginning of the year, basically in January, and you see where Naira is currently trading now. Of course, it won't be a place for you to actually check to see that if you trade, because I can't be able to actually put up this level of depreciation of the currency at this early in the year. And also, when you now compare, also now look at also the body language of central bank to further harmonize the rate to ensure that there's no round tripping, to ensure that there's no line thinking around that axis. Also led evidence to the fact that you expect the decision. So I don't think that and always around all IMF. But these are just projections.
Yes.
It means that along the line, things could change. It means that along the line, so basically, most of the things that currently are affecting the country now is something that can actually be handled and actually bring about that. And when you look at the area, aggressive about. Of course, there are insufficiencies around the government buying the options for the Nigerian army, so that they come back up. Also, the government also is not actually speaking. Come to are doing everything necessary to ensure that they are able to provide liquidity to the market and also create an environment where business can actually create and actually thrive. So I don't think that is properly out that for us. I think it's just things that happen early in the year, and I also think that it's something that if we are very much aggressive about, it can actually bring normalcy back to the country.
All right, good one now. Thank you so much for that insight. Now, I'm going to put out two questions to you now and see how you can do justice to them. First off, the Central Bank of Nigeria. Now, I'm asking this question based on the projections and submissions made by the IMF. So the IMF has come out to say that inflation rather is having a stronghold on the consumers. And with what we're seeing currently now, inflation rate at 28.92% is skyrocketing. And with going by current macroeconomic fundamentals, by the time we're going to be expecting inflation reports to come out for the month of January, definitely it's going to be hitting the 30% mark that some institutions and analysts have projected. Now, the CBN has said that it is going to work towards a 21.4% inflation rate projection. Do you see the CBN achieving this? And if yes, what fundamentals will the CBN be putting in place to make this projection realistic?
Yeah, if you look at what that statement did not come out in isolation. The CBN did not just say they are going to bring inflation to 21.7% levels. They also mentioned that they will do everything necessary in their capacity. That means that they will use everything in their arsenal to ensure that they actually bring inflation to that levels. And I don't think the number is bullish enough. I feel that it's a bit conservative because even International Monetary Organization (IMF) actually have lower rates than what the CBN is targeting. And for CBN, everything they need to do is to use monetary policy tools like interest rates hike, like OMO issuances, and other things, and ensuring that there's price stability in terms of the currency. And if all these things are achieved, I think very well that we may likely actually achieve that level that we actually projected. And don't also forget that we will also enjoy a bit of base year effect this year on inflation. So it gets to a level that we expect inflation to start dropping a bit, and that will also help the number. That will also help the number that the central bank has mentioned. So for central bank, I won't be surprised that the February meeting they will be hawkish at the February meetings. And so what it is, I will not be surprised if I see any rate hike even above 100 basis points at their next meeting. So, and you also expect them to continue issuance of OMO to also help to actually more liquidity in the system and actually reduce the level of cash chasing product in the economy. So, just that is the part of the central bank. But I feel that central bank cannot actually achieve this thing in isolation. They also need to work with the fiscal policy guys who need to actually do their parts of the peak. And what they need to do is find a way to actually nip in the bud insecurity issue because food inflation is not smiling as we speak. And some of the problem is that most farmers are finding very difficult to actually access their farm Most farmers are finding it even very difficult to actually convey the product of the farmland to the marketplace. So when you look at all these together, I think these are some of the problems. So we just need to actually solve some of these problems, and I think if you're able to do that, we'll be fine.
Nice one there. Now let's look at the foreign exchange markets now. There seems to be a lot of volatility going on in that space. You are also a player in that space. What can you tell us about what's going on in the space? What's all of the noise, the buzz about the scarcity of dollar in Nigeria, and what should the authorities, we're looking at both the fiscal and monetary policy authorities, what should they be doing to ensure that Naira gain its stability again, and then we see a general stability in the foreign exchange market? And permit me now to put you on a spot. Do you see us achieving any form of stability in the foreign exchange market this year, either in the short or the long term this year?
Yes, of course. I will start from your last question. I think I see us actually getting the level of stability in the FX market. And society speaking, currently what's happening in the market is simply democratic. You can't give what you don't have. Is purely forces of demand and supply. And it's not a coincidence that this current president actually mentioned that CBN should now get receipts of crude oil sale by NNPC because so as to be able to ensure that the sale of oil is actually well accounted for. So, and I think it's a way to actually control and put it like a level of control on the revenue generation. And beforehand now, you understand what has been happening in the banking sector, how banks have been posting FX gain and all those things like that. And the central bank came up with the circle around their net open position. So currently banks are not expected to have a long position on their shareholders' funds. So it simply means that if you're a bank and you're sitting on FX and you need to quickly unwind that position before the central bank actually comes knocking at your door. And so the implication of that is that there will be more liquidity that meets the needs of customers. I'm sure some of the banks are already selling some of their holdings to their clients. So what that will also mean is that it reduces the pressure that we are currently seeing in the parallel market. Because basically, the demand is currently outweighing the supply. And for a long time, we barely can actually meet our quota by OPEC. So even now, we are just getting closer to 1.5 million barrels per day. And so you also imagine that when you were producing lesser than that, like a 1.2 million barrels per day, don't forget that it's not wholly owned by the government. You have to actually move the part that belongs to the IOCs. And at the same time, now imagine you using your proceeds to actually bring in the refined product into the country. So at the end of the day, you end up having little or no effects available. And that's some of the reasons why we are not seeing much aggression on reserve on the part of the central bank. So we don't have the firepower to actually defend the currency before now. So more looking into the year, and I think going into the year 2024, I think we'll get to a level where we have what it takes to actually defend the currency. The availability of the Dangote refinery is a plus to the economy. It simply means that it reduces the level of importation. As we speak, Dangote is starting with jet fuel and also with diesel. So it simply means that we don't need to import diesel and we don't need to import aviation fuel into the country anymore. So it means that the FX that we'll be using to actually import those products, we can actually now divert or push it to other demands that are currently sitting on the table. So I think that we'll get to a level where we can really meet some of these demands comfortably. And at that point, I think I see that stabilizing around that level.
All right, nice one there. Now let's talk about the Central Bank of Nigeria now. A lot of Nigerians have come out to say that they really do not understand the monetary policy direction of the Yemi-led Cardoso CBN, which what that we're seeing right now. And then first off, I need to ask you this question. Do you have trust in the Yemi Cardoso-led Central Bank of Nigeria? And then again, where is the Yemi Cardoso-led CBN policy monetary direction leading us to? And does it have what it takes to bring about the necessary revamp that we need in our economy?
So, firstly, we cannot put everything on the table of Yemi Cardoso. What I'm saying is that the problem currently affecting the country is beyond the monetary policy problem. And that's why I said that everyone needs to do their part. Monetary policy guys, fiscal policy guys, everyone needs to do their bit to ensure that we're actually meeting our obligation. So, for the Yemi Cardoso administration in the central bank, it is crystal clear that it's more of currently adopting more of a contractionary policy. Policies where you want to stabilize rates, policy where you want to create price stability. And he said it clearly enough that their policies will be evidence-based. So it means that whatever they are doing, you'll be based on the evidence of what is on the table. And that is why I said that there will be rate hike, because the evidence on the table it means that inflation is actually going up. And when inflation is on the uprise, what you need to do is to actually raise rates. And that's currently what's happening in currently the economy. So I think it's policy.
If you permit me to butt in at this point now, we have been increasing interest rates over time just to cushion inflation, but that is not working. So do you believe that another interest rate hike will be able to stem the tide against inflation?
So this is not only rate hike, and that's what we are talking about. Every other party has to do their bit.
All right.
Imagine, let's look at the Fed, US Fed. US Fed started raising rates before us.
Yes.
And even after we stopped raising rates, they were still raising rates.
Yes.
But now, they are fine now. And they're already talking about actually reverting back to rate cut.
Yes.
So imagine after US Fed has raised rates for 1 year, saying that we've not been able to see the impact on inflation, but yet we need to stop. No, that's not the way economic policy works. We also need to look at the lag effect. And like I also said, it is not only peculiar to, it's not only the duty of the monetary policy guys. So, but what the monetary policy guys have in their confine to use is these that we have mentioned: rate policy, over issuance, controlling liquidity in the system. That's all they can do. They cannot jump into the other side of the fiscal policy guys and begin to operate from there. And that's why the current CBN government mentioned it critically that he's not going to meddle with what the fiscal policy guys are doing. So it simply means I will not go beyond my boundary. I only stay by what I need to do.
Pardon me again to butt in. With what he just said now, with what the CBN governor said, aren't you supposed to see a kind of synergy between the fiscal and the monetary policy authority working in synergy to bring about a lasting solution to inflation?
Yeah. No, if you look at what the Minister of Finance said at Davos, you will be surprised that he was part of those people that mentioned that they expect rates to go up, because they asked him explain it. What do you think? He said they expect rates to go up. So if you are hearing that from the fiscal policy guys, you would know very well that they have that synergy together. It means that they would have discussed together. It means that they would have sat together and said, okay, how do we move from here? And they would have unanimously agreed that rates need to go up. Because you know that when rates goes up, it is negative for the fiscal policy guys.
Yes.
Because they are about economic growth.
Yes.
They are about raising funds for the government.
Yes.
But when you hear them say that also, it means that they already pitching their tents with what the monetary policy guys are doing, and they feel that, oh, I think as to speak currently, this is the way to go. And don't also forget that he said that especially that the H1 of this year we expect more of a contractionary policy. But he said by H2 we will start seeing a situation whereby central bank will start actually reversing rate.
All right. Finally, now in 30 seconds, Femi Otedola has emerged as the chairman of First Bank Holdings. What influence do you think that will have on First Bank and for any reason the financial sector? 30 seconds. Let's do this.
I think he brings what he brings is he brings experience to the table. He brings managerial experience to the table. We have seen him operate across different industry. He has operated in the oil and gas. He has operated in the energy sector. And here he is now financial sector. So it simply means that he has something to give, and I think his addition is positive to the company.
All right, we'll leave it at that. I'd like to say a big thank you for your time with me on the show. Oladipo Ajayi, who is a fixed income and FX lead at Chape Denham. Thank you so much for your time with me on the show.